tweet of him. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
Recientemente se está hablando de un tema que hasta hace muy poco tiempo se negaba y del que poco conocemos, el fenómeno OVNI. Hoy, entrevista exclusiva al exdirector del Programa ATTIP del Pentágono, Luis Elizondo. Bueno, hoy les voy a contar de un tema que está hace mucho tiempo entre nosotros. Clasificado, negado por la gente, negado por las autoridades y que a poco va saliendo a la luz la verdad. O bueno, parte de ella. Estamos hablando del fenómeno OVNI. Hace muy poco el Pentágono hizo una desclasificación de una serie de avistamientos que tuvieron los pilotos de la Fuerza Aérea de los Estados Unidos. Por eso hoy les quiero contar el privilegio que tuve para hacer una entrevista al exdirector del programa ATTIP del Pentágono. Estamos hablando del señor Luis Elizondo. Así que bueno, vamos con la entrevista. Hola Luis, para mí es un honor tenerte en mi canal y cuando quieras empezamos el video.
First of all, thank you very much for having me, Juan Jose. This is a true privilege for you and your audience. Thank you for having me. I've been involved in this effort for at least 10 years, and I think it's a very important topic that we all discuss. I want to thank you specifically for what you and what you're doing to help further this conversation. I believe that if we find answers to this topic, it is going to happen because of you and your generation. I'm a little bit old, estoy viejito, and so my generation has made a lot of mistakes. I'm confident that in your lifetime you will see answers to this great phenomenon, this great enigma.
¿El fenómeno OVNI es real? ¿Y de qué se trata este fenómeno?
That's an excellent question. This is a phenomenon that affects everybody equally and yet differently. This is not a phenomenon that is simple to answer. It is something that we believe is long enduring, something that has been around for a very, very long time. But it means something different to each individual, and it's hard to explain. And I think that's why we're here today. I think it's a very complex question that you ask, and a very thoughtful, important question you ask. But this question is very much like asking somebody the meaning of love. We all know what love is, but it means something a little bit different to each of us. And I think the phenomenon is very much the same way. It means something to the governments of the world. It means something different to the people of the world. It means something different to the religions of the world. That's a very good question. What this subject means to me may not necessarily be the same it means to you, but both are equally important.
Luego de haber visto los videos de los avistamientos, ¿vos pensás que su tecnología es mucho más avanzada que la nuestra?
You know, it's hard for us to tell what we're dealing with. If there is a society that is more advanced than us, then it's very difficult for us to understand something that we don't know yet. It's very much like going to the zoo and looking at the monkeys in the cage. The monkeys have no idea what our intent is. The monkeys have no idea what our capabilities are. They just see every day some funny looking humans coming by and looking at them. Very much the same way with us. If we are dealing with a super advanced species, then very much we are like those monkeys in the cage, except for us is the planet Earth. and perhaps they are looking at us for whatever reasons that they have, if these things are from somewhere else. It's not unusual. We as a species do the same thing. We monitor and look at other species. Sometimes we do it to look at their migration patterns. Sometimes we look at the health of the herd. And sometimes we're just curious. We're curious on reproductive patterns and migratory patterns. So I don't think it's unusual. What I do find interesting is that in the last 100 years, mankind has evolved more in the last 100 years than we have in the last 10,000 years. So imagine if we were to come into contact with a species that was 100 years, perhaps 1,000 years, perhaps 1,000,000 years more advanced than us. What would that be like? Would we even recognize that species as a species, or would they be so advanced that there would be no measure for us to even begin to understand that species? And I think therein lies the big question. We don't know yet what we're dealing with. And so we have to really keep an open mind, and we have to be careful not to assume that whatever we're dealing with is necessarily going to behave like a human being. In fact, I would hope personally they don't act like a human being, because human beings make mistakes a lot. And this is a topic I don't think we want to make any mistakes with.
Este tema fue clasificado a tal punto de negarse. Cuéntame, Luis, ¿por qué ahora se está dando a conocer?
That's a very good question. We don't know why now. I guess my response would be, why not now? Now is as good a time as any time to have this conversation. Again, I think what's most important is that your generation is asking the questions that my generation was scared to ask. To some degree, your generation, you are much more courageous than my brothers and sisters were in the U.S. government. And I think that's good. I think personally, I think truth and true freedom for humanity, I don't think can be separated. I think the truth must always be told. And so when asked the question, why now? I guess I would say, why not? I think the time has come. I think we have spent too many years, more than 70 years, certainly in my country, hiding the truth. And I don't think that's a smart decision. I have said before that this discussion is not like it's not like a bottle of wine that the longer it stays in a bottle, the better it gets. I think this is a conversation that's like rotten fruit or spoiled fruit or vegetables in the refrigerator. The longer you leave it in there without taking care of it, the more it's going to begin to smell. And smell bad. So I think now is the time. And I think because for the first time our species has the ability to be globally connected. Right now, Juan Jose, you are reaching an audience around the world. When I was your age, I never had that ability. I didn't have that ability until 3 years ago. And yet here you are in Argentina having a conversation about this topic with the world. And that is profound. That is, you have so much power and influence right now at the tips of your fingers that my generation simply didn't have. So the responsibility is on you and your friends and your brothers and your sisters to help us have this conversation and carry this conversation forward. My generation failed, but I'm confident your generation will succeed.
Luego de la desclasificación, ¿vos pensás que hay todavía más por revelar?
I do. I think there's much more to reveal. I think there's much more that we need to understand. I think we're just scratching the surface. I think this is a lot like waking up on the first morning, walking into your backyard and seeing a ball, a soccer ball in your backyard. And the first thing you ask is, where did this ball come from? Who does this belong? Who does this ball belong to? How did this ball get here, right? And then when you look at the soccer ball a little bit more that just showed up in your backyard, you realize that the soccer ball looks a little funny. It's not exactly the right color for a soccer ball. In fact, it's not even the right size to be a soccer ball. So then you have to ask the questions, well, what is this soccer ball used for? And who brought it here? And what is its purpose? This is very much the same way right now we're dealing with the topic of UAP or UFOs, in that we have many more questions than answers. And it's important that we be brave enough to ask the questions that need to be asked, and also recognize that there's going to be a lot more questions than answers. Again, this is why I'm hopeful that your generation is going to solve it. It's not going to be Luis Elizondo, it's going to be Juan José.
¿Vos crees que la gente miente sobre este tema?
You know, I don't know if people are actively lying. I think in the absence of information, we as human beings, we like to put our own information into things. That's very natural for our species. That's what we do. So this is a topic where we have more questions than answers. And because of that, it is natural for us humans to fill those gaps of information with what we believe or think. And sometimes what we believe and what we think isn't necessarily facts, isn't necessarily always true. And that's why it's very important. We must continue to ask the hard questions. What does this topic mean for humanity? And are there people who've known more information about this topic for a very long time and have kept it secret from the people of the world? And that is my true concern. Are people lying, not telling the truth about this topic? And if that's the case, then we need to ask why they were lying and what are they trying to keep from the rest of the world that they don't want to share.
Muchas gracias, Luis, por tener esta oportunidad de hablar con vos y te mando un abrazo muy grande para vos y para tu familia. De nuevo, muchas gracias.
This is certainly more important, I can assure you, for all of us. You're doing a wonderful service. You and your family are doing a wonderful service for all of humanity by having this conversation. The future of our species is in your hands and in the hands of your friends and in your audience and your listeners. At 9 years old, I never had the strength and courage to do what you're doing. I never had it. You are truly remarkable in what you are able to accomplish. I'm a big fan of yours, and I am very, very proud of you, of what you have been able to do and what you have been able to accomplish at your age. If that is an indicator of success, then I wholly suspect someone like you to be a president, probably by the time you're a young man. We need good people like you. We need people who have the courage to ask the hard questions and not be afraid of the answers.
Gracias. Bueno, a mí me parece increíble que recién ahora se esté dando a conocer oficialmente, porque hace mucho tiempo se conocía, pero se ocultaba. Y la verdad es que no se tomaba en serio este tema. Pero lo más bueno es que ahora se esté dando a conocer que este fenómeno es verdadero. Le quiero mandar un fuerte saludo a Jennifer y a Luis Elizondo por darme esta posibilidad de hacer esta entrevista. La verdad que Luis me pareció una persona increíble y muy humilde. Le quiero mandar un fuerte saludo a los del canal Unidentified Celebrity Review y a mis vecinos Lucas, Felipe y Ana. Y bueno, espero que les haya encantado este video. Si quieren suscribirse, darle a like y por favor comenten este video y compártalo. Así que bueno, y chao.